All right, so I am going to invite us all to turn within here for a prayer. We are grateful and thankful to open our hearts and minds to the truth, opening our hearts and minds to compassion, to clarity, to wisdom, to freedom, to joy, to everything good in our hearts and minds. We are grateful to say yes, yes to pure love, pure light. Yeah, so grateful to allow ourselves to truly be steeped in the love of God, knowing that that love goes before us, behind us, above us, below us, beside us, within us. So grateful that the power of love is ours already. So grateful we don't have to make anything happen. We're allowing the good to flow, allowing the love to flow, sharing the benefits with everyone, everywhere, because we're one with them. We let it be. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Yes. So good. All right. So we are going to, as usual, have some inspiration. I'm going to share. We're going to have some music inspiration. Susanne VanDyke will share. I'm going to introduce her here now. She is a dynamic member of our community for many years now. She's one of my mighty companions and was my walking partner on the Camino that we did in 2023. And Susanne is also a retired voice, choir, and music theory teacher. Her first memory of singing was at the age of 5 when she sang her first solo in front of school assembly. She is spirit-led in what and when she sings and is honored to be singing here today to a community that means so much to her. Being raised as a PK or preacher's kid gave Susanne a rich and varied background of spiritual music, and she loves singing the very old as well as the very new. She is in our Ascension Pathway program and has seen great healing in her life through the study and practical application of A Course in Miracles, and from the great support of all in the Masterful Living community. And I'm just so grateful to share this moment with you, Susanne. So I am going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm always glad to be here. I've got a little cough and sneezing going on today, so I'm gonna sing. But if I sneeze or anything, just hold on. I'll come back and we'll finish what I started. But I'm really glad to be here. This is an older song. It's by one of my favorite singers. Her name is Nicole Nordeman, and this is about the seasons in life, and it's called Every Season. Every evening sky, an invitation to trace the patterned stars. And early in July, a celebration, the freedom that is ours. And I notice you in children's games, in those who watch them from the shade. And every drop of sun is full of fun and wonder. You are summer. And even when the trees have just surrendered to the harvest time, forfeiting their leaves in late September and sending us inside. Still I notice you when change begins, and I am braced for colder winds. I will offer you thanks for what has been and what's to come. You are autumn. And everything in time and under heaven finally falls asleep, wrapped in blankets white. All creation shivers underneath, and still I notice you in branches crack and in my breath on frosted glass. Even now in death you open doors for life to enter. You are winter. And everything that's new has bravely surfaced, teaching us to breathe. And that which was frozen through is newly purposed, turning all things green. So it is with you and how you make me new. With every season's change, and so it will be as you are recreating me. Summer, autumn, winter, spring.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, yeah, I can see why you love that songwriter. Wow, that was really precious. Deep, deep inspiration from that. Thank you, Suzanne. I always love it when you're here. Truly, your presence is so inspired and beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us. So good. Well, I love winter. I love winter. I really came to love winter so deeply living in Vermont. I am in Maine now, spending the winter in Maine, and I I fell in love with winter in Vermont because it was so still. In the summer in Vermont, in the all the other seasons, the other 3 seasons, there's a lot of activity going on in the earth and with the animals and the birds and the plants, and so much activity happening in the other 3 seasons out there in nature. And I spent so much time in nature while I was living in Vermont. Here too, same amount really, but so much more than I had been spending before I got a dog and a cat that liked to walk outside. And so I also, living way out in the country, as I am here in a very isolated, remote location, the stillness of the winter is so palpable. It's so obvious. And I really enjoy the stillness of it, the quiet of it. We still have birds and other animals, critters, and things going on, but there is a deep sense of stillness that is so congruent with my being. It just is such a lovely match. And it helped me to realize that I'm so much more peaceful now than I've ever been in my whole life. And that is such a wonderful gift to recognize, because in my earlier life, I was agitated a lot of the time. And I always blamed it on the environment, that I was upset for the reason I thought, and the reason I thought was it's got something to do with the environment, what people are doing or not doing, and situations and circumstances. And now I'm keenly aware that has nothing to do with why people get upset. And it's a really good thing. It's a really beautiful, beautiful, empowering thing to realize that other people are not upsetting us. It is our thoughts about them, about ourselves and relationship to them. It's our thoughts about life and about ourselves that are upsetting us, because when we agree to hold in our mind thoughts that are not true, thoughts that are of a low vibration, so thoughts that are complaining, attacking, judging, criticizing, uh, catastrophizing, all of that, when we're holding on to those thoughts, we naturally are upset, every single one of us. There's no exception there. We all get upset when we entertain these kinds of ideas, especially when we move beyond just entertaining them, but when we invite them in, pour them a cup of coffee, bake them a cake, offer them a room to stay, and invite them to live with us forever, right? Then we start to move into despair and great anger, fear, worry, doubt, shame, all of that. It just comes cascading down uh, our consciousness, and it's quite painful. And still, yet, we blame it on the world, that we wouldn't be upset if those people weren't doing what they were doing. We wouldn't be upset if those people did what we thought they should do. We wouldn't be upset if only this or that occurred. But it's just not how the world works. And when we recognize, oh, I'm responsible for my own upsets and no one else, just me, then we realize I don't have to be upset. I don't ever have to be upset again. It's all within my choosing. And we can awaken from the sleepwalking in order to really be clear that we can go the other way. We have the power to go the other way, and we have access to the eternal infinite power to heal our mind of those errant thoughts that distract us and destroy us and devour us and detour us. We really can be free of all that if we choose to be. And then we can use all that energy and put it into something that's fruitful, something that's harmonious, something that's happy making. And that's a wonderful thing to realize. And so one of the things that we experience in this world is the recurring upsets that come from the meaning we make of things and our interpretations of what we think we see in the world, what we think is occurring in the world. We can actually eliminate all those upsets and be free of them managing and coping, free of the stories. We can truly liberate from all of that, which is just so good. It is so good. It's such a great feeling to not be in the belief system that we are victims of the world. It's so great to relinquish our attachment to those kinds of thoughts. And so some of the simplest ways that we can get out of the pain of our own making is to stop, just really stop thinking that anybody else is responsible for how we feel, or to think that if somebody else did something differently, then we would feel better. Because that's not why we ever feel better. It's not. It's because we interpret things differently that we feel better. And we all have experiences that prove this every single day. So it takes a great willingness to move out of victimhood. It takes a great willingness to take responsibility for our thoughts and our feelings. And so I would invite you to just call to mind something that feels like that thing out there in the world, whether it's your dog or your spouse or your state representative or your sibling or whatever it is that's out there in the world, the price of eggs, the price of gas, the whatever it is, just call it to mind, the thing that feels very irritating, frustrating, upsetting. And just be willing for a moment to experience what would it mean to hold it in your mind with neutrality, without opinion, without judgment, without even wishing it were different, but just for a moment, not for a whole lot longer than that, just to hold it with neutrality in your mind. I don't know what anything is for, lesson 25. Just to hold it that way. I don't know what this is for. I think I know. I think this is for my detriment, but I don't really know that that's true. Maybe it's for my good. Maybe it's for my good. Maybe it's for my good. Being willing to move into that space with things. One of the things that I see very spiritual people do is they're still trying to change the people around them, still trying to change the people around them. And they're still saying things like, when you leave your dishes in the sink, it makes me feel like you don't really respect me. Now, we've all heard things like that. We've all said things like that, haven't we? When you don't ask me what I'd like at the grocery store and you go and you just get what you want, it makes me feel like you don't really love me. You don't really care. I'm meaningless to you. That's what it makes me feel like. And we blame them that they have made us feel this way with their bad behavior. And they are doing this to us. And if they would just stop doing the bad behavior and start doing the good behavior, everybody could be happy. But no, they are ruining our lives with their bad behavior. And it's my job to let them know this is unacceptable. This is intolerable. I cannot take this from you. You are ruining my life, right? And so it's part of the insanity that we are taught that this feels like good, clear communication. People are using their words, they're telling their truth, they're telling it like it is. Obviously, they are leaving the dishes in the sink. Everybody would be destroyed by that behavior. Everybody would feel unloved if they didn't get asked what they would like at the store. Everybody feels the way I do. Everybody knows these are the rules of being in relationship with human beings. I had a roommate a few years ago when I first was living in Vermont, and someone I'd been friends with for years, and we rented this 4-bedroom house together, plenty of room for both of us. And one of the things that started to happen soon after we moved in that was very noticeable to me was he would leave the house without saying anything. I might be sitting in the den, or sitting in the kitchen. He would walk right past me, put on his coat, and go out the door and not say a word to me. Nothing. He might come back in 10 minutes. He might be getting something out of his car, but it's cold outside. He put a coat on. He might be going to the store. He might be going away for the weekend. Just go. And I said to him after a while, I said, "Are we friends? Are we friends?" And he said, "Of course we're friends. Why would you ask me that? We've been friends for a dozen years." I said, "I know, but I've never, ever, ever spent any time with anyone ever in my whole life where they would leave the building and not say something, that they would walk right past me and go out the door and not indicate like, hey, I'll be back after dinner. I'm going to the chiropractor and then I'm going to run some errands. I'll be back around 6, or I'm taking off for the weekend, or just never experienced anyone who just left and didn't acknowledge me, walked right past me and never said anything. Like that just is odd to me. I've never experienced it. So for my life experience, it's different. It's unique. And I don't know what meaning to make of it. I just said, I don't know how to process this because it's never been my experience before. And he just laughed. Yeah, okay. And I felt like, okay, this feels a little passive aggressive now because clearly I'm asking, what does it mean? Because I knew he had lived with friends before, and I knew that he had lived with partners and married. He was married for a couple of decades. So I knew he had lots of experience with living with different people and living with different women. And it just seemed so interesting. And I decided to Google, what are the things that upset people the most when they live with other people? I Googled something like that. Number one was leaving the house without saying anything. I thought that was interesting because it had never occurred to me, because I'd never experienced it before. Because in every situation I had ever been in where I was living with somebody, even for 2 days or something like that, there would be a note left before there were cell phones. And then after there were cell phones, might be a note, might be a text message, might be a call, might be, even if I wasn't there, they'd say, "I'm leaving the house now, I'll be back in 4 hours," something like that. And so I didn't want to make the meaning of it that he didn't care or that he was being passive aggressive. So that's why I asked him, are we friends? I thought we were friends, but this doesn't feel friendly to me. It feels like it's dismissive. And that's strange to me because I thought we were friends. And he never explained, never said how he felt. He was just like, "Yeah, I just don't feel a need to tell you where I'm going or what I'm doing." And I'm like, "Yeah, I honestly, I don't really care where you're going or what you're doing. I'd just like to know when you might come back." And he's like, "Why do you want to know when I'm going to come back? Like, why do you care?" And I said, "You know what? When you're not here and I know you're not going to be here for a while, I might walk around half naked and enjoy the freedom of that on a hot summer day. When you're not around, I can turn the music up and dance around in my underwear in the kitchen. But if I think you're coming back in the door 5 minutes from now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to feel that free. So that's why I like to know when you're coming and going." But what I am aware is I didn't have to make him really bad or wrong for it, but just trying to comprehend, what does it mean to him? Does it mean anything to him? And what I sort of discerned was he just wanted to be independent of all of it, you know. He wanted which explains maybe why he's divorced and why his relationships didn't quite, you know, end happily. So, and that's, you know, that's another story. But I like to not assume what other people are thinking, what other people are intending when it doesn't make sense to me. And I've really learned that when somebody has a behavior that I don't appreciate or I don't like, because I didn't like that. I wanted to know, am I free to blast music for the next 4 hours or just for the next 20 minutes? I'd just like to know. I'd like to know, can I settle into our shared living space with a cup of coffee and get on a Zoom with a friend? Or am I going to have to move 5 minutes after you leave because you're coming right back? And it just, you know, just wanted to know those things so I could organize my activities. That's all. But I decided, you know what? Don't give it any meaning. It really doesn't have any meaning for him, except he just doesn't want to have to explain himself. He doesn't want to have to think about what it means to me. He prefers not to. And so that's his preference. And so I decided to really be clear. It just absolutely had zero to do with me. It was just his lifestyle. He wanted that totally independent lifestyle. So, yeah, you know, I'm the kind of person, I'm cooking something. Would you like some? I'm making it, I can make enough for two. I'm that kind of person. So, everybody doesn't have to be like I am. But what I see so often in so many relationships, what really makes life hard is people are trying to tame the other person, or they're trying to blame their own upsets on the other person. And just, you know, if you could just put your newspapers away, you know, it's all I'm asking you. And we've talked about it publicly many times. One of our friends in the community, Paula Martin, the first time she came on a retreat with me, she said one of the things that really, really bothered her was her husband just comes in the house after being outside. He takes off his coat and he throws it on the dining room table. So it's the dining room table is the same distance from the front door as the coat closet in the hallway. And but he doesn't hang it up in the coat closet. He throws it on, he likes the convenience of just throwing it on the dining room table or putting it on the back of the chair there. And it bothered her, like such a disrespect. He knows I want him to put it away, but he doesn't put it away. And so that means he's disrespecting me. It means, right? We give everything all the meaning that it has for us. It means that I'm sticking to it, even though it upsets me. So again, lesson number 5, I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm upset because the meaning I'm giving it is not correct. It's totally my perception, my projection, has nothing to do with the truth. And so I said to her, of course, I could understand exactly what she's talking about. She doesn't want to have to pick up his coat and put it away, which she doesn't have to do. But in her mind, she does have to do it. Because if she doesn't do it, it won't be done. And if it's not done, that's not good. Coats are accumulating in the dining room. It's not good. It's a bad look. It's bothersome. It's irritating. It's frustrating because he knows that's not what I want. And why can't he just do what I want? Just to make me happy. Why can't he do that? Because he doesn't care enough about me to do that. You know, these are the kinds of conversations we have with ourselves. And, you know, it would be great if we could have that conversation with ourselves just 1 or 2,000 times, but we don't. We have it 20,000 times. We have it 50 million times, right? We don't just have it 1 or 2,000 times. We have it again and again and again in situation after situation. We have it at work. We have it at home. We have it at our friend's house. We have it over and over and over again, just constantly making the meaning that we're not really loved. Just projecting that same idea onto everything, everything. The person in the store, the person who should be waiting on us is waiting on somebody else. They don't even pay attention to us. They won't acknowledge us. All of it, it's all the same. It's all the same. We're not valuable. We're not good enough. Something's wrong with us. It's the same thought again and again and again. But we can literally stop giving that thought any power whatsoever. And we can allow it to dissolve. But every time we invest in it, we're giving it more power. So there's for most of us, there's a period where we stop feeding it and then it's gone. But we're the ones that have to stop feeding it because it's not valuable to us anymore. We're interested in the truth. And the truth is that we are profoundly loved in every moment. And there's never, ever a moment when we are not profoundly loved, no matter what we are doing, what we are thinking or saying, no matter what, we are always profoundly loved and seen as perfect by all of heaven. But that's not how we see ourselves, and that's what we project onto the world. It's just that simple. So I said to Paula, what if you did this? Every time you saw your husband's coat on the back of the chair in the dining room, you just took a moment, you took a breath, and you just said, I love that man so much. And you picked up his coat and you give it a hug, give it a sniff, and affirm, I love this man. And I am so glad that I get to hang up his coat. Because if he was gone, I would wish for this. But he's not gone. He's here, and I get to hang up his coat. And then hang up his coat because you're the one that wants it hung up. He doesn't. He wants it on the back of the chair. So he doesn't have to hang it up just because you want it hung up. So you're the one that wants it hung up. You hang it up, right? That's what I've learned. And right now I've got family visiting, and this home, I own it with my brother and my sister-in-law. And one of the things my sister-in-law did after she came here, I've been living here for a couple of months, and my parents built this house back in the 80s, and my brother and sister-in-law and I purchased it from my dad, about 8 years ago. And so she just started rearranging my things in the kitchen. Oh, I think the moisturizer should go over here, and these glasses should go over here, and these things should be over here. And she, in the cabinet, she just started rearranging my actual things in the cabinet. And I saw that and I just laughed. I was like, okay, sure, why not? What do I care? If it makes her happy to do that, have at it. Rearrange everything. Maybe I'll be able to find my things, maybe I won't. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But there was a time when I would have interpreted that to mean she's disrespecting me. But I know she's just doing what makes her feel comfortable. And if that makes her more comfortable, feels like she can impose her will upon me or her power upon me. And, I, I need you to do things the way I want them done. If that is going to give her some peace of mind, what do I care? What do I care if the glasses go here and the pots go there? And what do I care? Seriously. Because my highest value is harmony. I'm interested in harmony. And I am so, so, so grateful that I can just see that now and smile. Because I'm telling you, 20 years ago, I would not have been smiling. And I would have been blaming her for how I felt. She made me feel that way. She made me feel disrespected. She made me feel like I'm meaningless to her. But I don't feel that way. And she doesn't have the power to make me feel that way anymore because I don't give it to her anymore. And it's not hard to get free. You just really have to have a true desire to invest your time, energy, attention, your creativity, your happiness in other things, in things that can actually be enjoyable. And managing what other people think and do is not a good use of our time and energy. It's not, because we'll never succeed. We just won't. It's like herding cats, chasing butterflies. It's just, and so that's part of why I have more peace than I've ever had in my whole life. I'm getting ready to do a workshop on February 8th in honor of Valentine's Day. It's self-love for healing our relationships, practicing self-love in order to heal our relationships, because that's the only thing I know that has really, really brought my relationships so much healing. It's just loving myself. And by myself, I don't mean my body or my personality, my true self, my true identity, my holiness. And when I am aware of being in love with my holiness, practicing that honoring and cherishing of my holiness, I'm honoring and cherishing all holiness, everybody's holiness, because it's all the same holiness. There is no other holiness. And what I love is that every single day of our lives, we can practice in the most simple way healing practices that really are permanently healing to our consciousness. And that's what being truly helpful is to me, is just living in the practice, recognizing I could blame my roommate and say he's disrespecting me and have it trigger all sense of unworthiness. But that sense of unworthiness, it's bye-bye, it's gone. It's not there to trigger. So I can laugh at it. I can try to understand it. And I did. I recalibrated to, oh, there he goes, and just laughing at it. It's fine. It's fine. And if I really want to know when is he coming back, I can ask him. Right? I can ask him. And if I really want my cups or my blender or my coffee or whatever it is to be in a particular place, I can just tell my sister-in-law, I really have a strong preference that this thing is here. Would it be okay with you if it just got left here? But I figure she's only visiting for 9 days, so what difference does it make? Who cares? Who cares? Really, who cares? And one last story I'm going to tell that some of you know very well because I've told it many times, but also because you heard it told for the very first time, because Rosalind's here and she may have heard it for the very first time. So we have a friend named Maggie, and Maggie's done the music here at Sacred at Sundays with Spirit with her husband. They're both musicians, and years ago, one of the things that really bothered Maggie was that her husband just didn't seem to empty the dishwasher of his own volition. And so she would have to ask him if she wanted him to empty the dishwasher. And she built up a resentment about it. Like, why do I have to ask him to empty the dishwasher? It's his dishes too, for God's sakes. Come on. And, of course, she's making meaning of it, interpreting it, because that's what the ego identified person does. The person who's living in their heart doesn't need to do that. But the ego identified person, that's pretty much all they do, right? Is what does this mean to me? What does this say about me that this is being experienced by me? And so Maggie decided one day she was getting so frustrated and so irritated, and this dishwasher emptying was the focus of it because she couldn't put dirty dishes into the dishwasher until the clean dishes were put away, and on, right? We all understand. We all know the story very, very well. And so she decided, because she's practicing spiritual principle teachings of A Course in Miracles, knowing she's not upset for the reason she thinks, and that she's giving everything all the meaning that it has for her, and she's responsible for what she sees and how she interprets it. So she decided one day, you know what, I'm going to empty the dishwasher. I'm just going to set a timer. How long does it take me? Well, it took her 7 minutes. So she realized, you know what, I can empty the dishwasher in 7 minutes and have peace. 7 minutes of dishwasher emptying is absolutely worth having peace of mind. And so she said, I'm not going to complain about it anymore. I'm not going to think about it anymore. I am not going to say anything anymore. Just when I would like the dishes to be emptied, I'm going to empty the dishwasher if the dishes are in there and they're clean. And wouldn't you know, within a couple of days, her husband started to empty the dishwasher more naturally. Just, yeah, he'd do it without anybody saying anything, right? And so what happens then is we have experiences like that, and we realize our thoughts, such as, he never empties the dishwasher, I always have to empty the dishwasher, those thoughts become our experience. And we choose our thoughts. We don't have to do that, but we do. And there's no reason to feel bad about it. There's no reason to feel stupid about it. There's no reason to feel hopeless about it. Instead, we can remember to laugh about it and just really say, look at me exploring resentment. I have really done a master's thesis and beyond, a PhD. Like, I've written a whole curriculum on dishwasher resentment. I could write a volume, at least, in a series on relationship, just on dishwasher resentment and how to really go deep, deep into it and carry it for years without noticing what it was costing me or my relationship. I could do that. I could write that book now. I know it so well. And then we can laugh, maybe have a glass of wine, go out dancing. Whew, I don't have to research that anymore. I already know all there is to know about it, and I am clear now. That exploration is over, right? So I'm going to invite you to place your hands on your heart and just think about, what have you been exploring on the negative side of complaining and resentment, kvetching? What have you been exploring that you could write a doctorate thesis on, that you just know backwards and forwards? You have done so much research, field research, for years. So much resentment, so much agitation, so much energy and time and attention, cataloging, describing mentally to yourself, maybe to friends. Maybe you've come close to ruining a relationship, or you've actually really pushed somebody away with this kind of research. Maybe today's a wake-up call. Maybe today is just an opportunity to laugh about it. What I know is that the moment we're truly willing to not be bothered by it anymore, then we'll realize we're the ones who gave it the meaning that it has for us. We're the ones who decided what it meant. We're the ones. Nobody else, just us. And we can go the other way. And it's perfect timing. Because we're in that 9-year numerologically completing with things. So let's complete with some of these patterns. Maybe you can think of 2 or 3 of them. Long held resentments that you continuously feed. Maybe it's even a regret. If you can think of people you're in relationship with, that mentally you continuously tear them down and attack them, interpreting their behaviors in such a way that it just proves they don't really care, they don't really love you, you're not really worthwhile, or whatever idea it is that you believe, and you make the meaning of it. That's an affirmation of what you believe. But it doesn't mean that to them. It's just your interpretation. Pretty much everybody plays small in these ways. Everybody puts limits on their happiness in these ways. Asking people to change their habits so we can be happier, when it's really our interpretation and it's got nothing to do with them. Maybe it's as simple as we'd like to be able to control them and we can't, and it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because we know what's best for them. Just trying to help them. We have all these kinds of thoughts. They're distractions, they're detours. They delay our awakening. And to me, that's what it's really about. So let's just take some deep breaths here and release any idea that we made a mistake. And just let it be. We explored that. We don't have to keep exploring it. We can harvest the wisdom. We can set ourselves free. We can set the other people involved free. This is the perfect moment. This is the perfect time. There's a divine alignment that's occurring. And that's why it's being brought to our attention right now. We're choosing freedom. And I am going to invite Susanne to give us another song here. And let's rest in her beautiful tones.
Thank you. This will be a piano meditation. So just carry on with your quiet thoughts.
beautiful. Wow. Oh my gosh. So elegant the way you play the piano. Love your music, Suzanne. Thank you so much. Feels like a healing. Mm. All right. So we are going to do that thing. I'm just in a total zone right now from that beautiful music. We're going to do that thing we do here. We're going to go into a breakout, not very long, but I feel like it's so important that anybody who would like to could have some talking partners and just share a bit about how you're feeling, what you're taking away in terms of have you invested in particular resentments or regrets that you could turn over right here, right now? Is there anything like the dishwasher story that you can relate to, that you can begin to laugh about? Anything like the coat on the dining room chair story that you can relate to, that you can bring it to the light right now? Let's have a healing. Let's have a healing. So April is going to open our breakout rooms, and we are going to go there now. And so, let's see here. Oops. Do that. Okay. All right. Rosalind, I am going to make you a co-host, except I don't think I have the power to do that. No, I don't. April, can you make Rosalind a co-host?
I did. Do you want me to spotlight her as well?
Yes. And Suzanne. Yep. Great. All right. Rosalind, so great to have you here today. So nice to see you. Yeah. Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would love to share. I just got so much out of being here today. It was just really perfect. I have an incident where my husband said to me, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but the way he said it wasn't terribly irritated, but apparently he'd been holding it for a long time that I don't close the pantry door entirely shut. So it's almost closed, but it's not closed. I didn't know I was doing it. I certainly didn't know it irritated him. And he's a mild-mannered person, so he would never say anything abusive or you make me feel or anything. But he was done, like it was really bothering him. It was like the coat on the chair.
Right.
And I didn't connect it to that story, that beloved story that's so old but so dear to our hearts with the coats.
Right.
But every time I close the pantry door now, because it's not hard for me to close the door, when it's in my hand, I remember, oh, it means something to him to have it completely shut. And I feel like it's almost lovemaking, like I'm cherishing him. And even if he's not home and he doesn't see it, that's where communication can be so touching. And two things I got out of your story of the roommate, well, maybe three, it is that when you didn't judge him and interpret, there was curiosity, and you were ready to have compassion for whatever he said. And it turns out compassion for what he wasn't willing to say, like, okay, for whatever reason. And so I was with that, like how compassion is so different from pity. Like you weren't looking down on him for being so dysfunctional in his relationships that he can't say it. You just were open-hearted. Oh, that's different. I don't really understand that. And it makes a certain amount of sense, but okay. You came to okayness. And then a little later in the service, I thought of my grandson who's wired just a little bit differently, and he doesn't always see the things that we take for granted. He doesn't get all the social cues. There are diagnoses for those things, but we don't need a diagnosis. He just doesn't get things like that's something he wouldn't get. He wouldn't get, I need to tell you, just for our relationship, just for common decency, just for all the reasons that you mentioned, it is worthwhile to say, I'll be back in 6 hours or 10 minutes. He wouldn't know that because that's how he's wired, and he's brilliant, but he misses some things, even though everybody around him has always said, I'll be back tonight or whatever. He hasn't learned it.
Yeah.
So then my heart opened also to him that there will be people in the world
Yeah.
that will give him the space for what he doesn't understand. One time his mother, my daughter Allie, said to him, Ryan, you need to help unload the things. Everybody's moving into this house with all these people. Everybody's caring. He said, why? He said, well, everybody's helping. And so he said, well, maybe that's why I don't have to help, because it just didn't make sense to him. And there'll be some things he'll have to learn, even if they
Mhm.
don't make sense and they don't come from the heart. But he needs people in the world to give him that space of curiosity and compassion when he acts somewhat differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so worth inquiring what people mean by their choices rather than just assuming that we know. It just saves ourselves so much heartache and pain,
Yeah, yeah.
because until we have dissolved that lens of the, like you like to say, perceived unworthiness, that's the lens we're going to look at it through.
Yeah,
No matter what it is, it's all going to be seen through that
yeah,
lens.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. What about you, Suzanne?
It's a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a relief, and because there's no escape route, to it, to because 9 times out of 10 that person isn't gonna change, like that didn't happen usually. And first of all, I'm just loving hearing you share, Rosalind, because it's been a minute since I've
Me
connected
too.
with you, and I forgot how much I love your
Mhm.
expressive ways of sharing and all of that. That was so healing and beautiful. The whole subject today, it's classic, isn't it? It's like it's a classic. The dependent on someone else to change, and honestly, that never occurred to me till I started studying in this community, studying the course
Yeah.
and your teaching. It never occurred to me, and living with my family, uh, that was never an option I presented myself. That I would be, you know, release that, and it's now a relief. I don't always do it right when I'm aware. It is precious to me, and I do like to hold on sometimes to how very wrong someone is about the dishwasher. If they would just follow my way. But I am grateful for the awareness that there is another way, and it does not involve them changing, because that it's impossible. That is,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be, I would never reverse it on myself and go, what if, someone told me, hey, the way you load the dishwasher is unacceptable. You need to put the cups here. And like at Christmas, I completely overhauled our kitchen. I didn't ask anybody. By that, I moved where the glasses and the plates went, but to move them closer to the dishwasher. It was like they were across on this galley kitchen. They were over here, and I'm like, so I didn't really ask. I just said, I'm going to move some things around, and I added some things I cleared out. And, nobody said a word to me. Nobody said, well, why did you do it that way? If it had been reversed, I would have said, why didn't you ask me? I'm
Yeah.
sure I would have. Why did you move that there without asking me? Like I was emptying the dishwasher right before this, and I thought, it's been since December. Nobody said anything to me. Hey, I wish you'd move those cups back over across the way. Now they're not saying anything like great job, but it was no big deal to them.
Yeah.
And it shows me their easy ways
Yeah.
and a contrast. And I don't know if I guess it is ego in there that when we react in a certain way, I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't know if it's ego I was trying to go with that, but it is if we feel that they should be doing it our way,
Yeah.
that there is ego in there. So they are our teachers, and we wouldn't know, if Paula didn't have that reaction to the coat. Look at all the growth that happened from that, and
Yeah.
your teaching expanded because you were like, hey, wait, this is a way she could think about it. Oh, how precious to have it. Anyway, I digress, but yes.
Suzanne, I'm thinking about how you used to judge around the cats. You judged your sisters around the cats.
Surely
But
I
the thing
did.
is,
And now,
what I remember is when you stopped, your sister picked up a strange, because she used to judge you for all the cats. And then she picked up a cat because, leaving the judgment, everybody changes
yeah,
through the invisible.
Right.
yes,
Number one.
yes.
And I always think of how you positively affected the family that way.
Well, you'll appreciate this. The last time I went on a little trip, it was like 2 or 3 days. And I just said to her before I left, I said, if anything happens to any of the cats, do not tell me until I get home. It will be too upsetting. I was serious, and I thought when it came out of my mouth, I went, well, we're done here. That healing, not that I would have been happy, you know what I'm saying, but it's like I'm so invested in the cats and the dog too. That if something happened, just don't let me, I can't know that. It would be so heartbreaking. Where in the early days, you'd be like, one less cat. But she's a rescuer. There was always a cat. But anyway, yes, that's so true. It's so true.
Mm.
Such a
Yes. Such healing. Yeah,
Yes, such
exactly.
healing. More to come.
Yeah. I used to just look around all the time for things to complain about, things to resent. And I mean, seriously, I made myself so unhappy, and I didn't have to. And I'm laughing too about the dishwasher because Rosalind, you're talking about the pantry door, and Suzanne talking about rearranging the kitchen. I'm remembering that one of the things that happens now with my family is there's somebody that has a deep commitment to the dishwasher has to be stacked a particular way. And we'll just absolutely restack the dishwasher every time. Yep, because it's got to be done that way, or it's just not good. It's not good. So, yeah, we can free ourselves of all of that thinking, and then that the thing for us to be aware of is what would we like to put that time, energy, attention, money. There's often money involved. What would we like to invest that in instead? Something fruitful, something wonderful. More
And when
peace,
we
more love,
don't
more joy.
when
Hmm?
we don't make any meaning out of it, then even other people can get to have what they want and they get to be happy. Like they get to have the dishwasher all just right. And he gets
Right.
the door shut. And how great is that? You know, it's all silly anyway. It's transactional and we have to get beyond the transactional.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Oh, yeah, it's good to be together. How was the breakout? Was that helpful? You get some clarity? Anybody feel like they made a shift? Anything? Kind of, sorta? All right. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to make a few quick announcements here. And then Suzanne's going to give us another beautiful song. I'll say another prayer and we will be on our way. So announcements. Like I mentioned, I have on February 8th, the self-love for healing our relationships workshop. It's one of my deep dive workshop series. And that you can sign up for the whole series. Basically, if you signed up for the series for a year, you'd probably get 2 workshops free. So just letting you know that. But you can register and you get some other bonus opportunities if you sign up for the series. But you can just do 1 workshop anytime you like. So that's kind of my Valentine's Day offering, is the self-love for healing family relationships. And again, that's Saturday, February 8th. Next weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to do my forgiveness workshops. And so those are free. And I would invite you to invite friends. If you know you've got friends that have lingering resentments, lingering guilt, shame, blame, and it's eating up their happiness, see if they're willing to come to a forgiveness workshop and we can do a deep dive into forgiveness together. I know probably most of you have been to at least one. And so I'm doing those myself next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And then that's it for right now. More things are coming. I'm very excited about this year. Spirit has given me some great things, but I'm not ready to announce them yet. And all right. Suzanne, do you have any announcements before you give us a song?
I do not. I do
All
not. I'm
right.
just going to sing.
Okay.
This is another female composer, Laura Story, another favorite. And this is one of my favorite songs. It's called Blessings. We pray for blessings. We pray for peace. Comfort for family. Protection while we sleep. We pray for healing. For prosperity. We pray for your mighty hand to ease our suffering, and all the while you hear our spoken needs and love us way too much to give us lesser things. 'Cause what if your blessings come through rainbows? What if your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights is what it takes to know you're near? And what if trials of this life are your mercies in disguise? We pray for wisdom, your voice to hear, and we your blessings come through raindrops? What if your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know you're near? And what if trials of this life are your mercies in disguise? When friends betray us, when darkness seems to win, we know the pain reminds this heart that this is not our home. It's not our home. 'Cause what if our blessings come through the raindrops? What if our healing comes through tears? And what if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know you're near? What if my greatest disappointments or the aching in this life is a revealing of a greater thirst this world can't satisfy? What if trials of this life, the rain, the storms, the hardest nights, they're your mercies in disguise?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was so beautiful. That was so, so beautiful. Oh, Suzanne, thank you so much. Tell us again who wrote that song.
Laura Story. She wrote it and sings it, and also sings it. Has a beautiful voice. It's an old
Wow.
song. It's from 2011.
Mm, yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, and thanks to everyone for showing up, spending this time with us. I am going to say a prayer, and my heart is full, overflowing with gratitude at the beauty, at the love, the wholeness, the harmony, the joy that is ours forever and ever. So grateful for that reminder that this is not our home and that there is a perfection encoded into everything. And we are willing to see it, to know it, to feel it. We are grateful and thankful to surrender attachments to misperceptions and anything that could stand in the way of our joy and happiness. Our loving heart is being set free. So grateful to share the benefits with everyone, everywhere, because we're one with them. We're allowing ourselves to stay lifted and shifted and to be in service to the light of our being with our joyous heart showing for all the world to enjoy. We are grateful to let it be, and so it is. Amen. 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 Thank you so much. Mwah. Love you.
Thanks,
Bye for now.
Jennifer. Love you. Bye, everybody.